we would call it. So that sounds good to me. Which I just found a specific part in the book which I thought was fascinating. First, if I wouldn't know you would be talking about exopolitics and the extraterrestrial connection, and I would just find it somewhere, it would even sound as a joke, but it's very serious, and I like the insight you're giving with this way of looking at things. You're looking at 5 exopolitical factors to 9/11 and false flag operations. So, and if you're reading that, it sounds logical, but if you're thinking, wait, is he talking about an extraterrestrial interpretation of a political and a powerful event or false flag event? How come? And what I think is interesting, and I think I'm just going to read the 5 factors because I put them down here. The first factor is the existence of a covert web of interlocking governmental and military agencies in the US and around the world created to manage extraterrestrial affairs. And where's the second one? Second factor to consider for false flag operations is the need by the secret government to maintain exclusive control of all extraterrestrial technology and evidence found around the world. And the third exopolitical factor is the need to gain control of any territory that once hosted ancient civilizations that contain artifacts providing valuable information or technology left by extraterrestrials. And of course you're also referring as I know as well, the land of Sumer, so the Iraq War, of course. The fourth exopolitical factor concerns the use of weather modification technologies that former Secretary of State William Cohen confirmed as existing in 1997, used to shift blame onto unpredictable, between brackets, environmental factors as an instrument of national policy to create natural disasters or events that coerce nations into complying with the global secrecy system concerning extraterrestrial affairs. And the final exopolitical factor concerns the unofficial black budget in the US. So if I'm reading all this, I'm thinking, well, okay, that's a brilliant way of looking at things on a different level, because of course if this is all black budget and secretive agreements, then a bit sounding like David Icke, that it's all other people and entities behind the puppets, even the powerful people, as Stephen Greer puts it. If you're not on a need to know, then you might be a president or even a far more important person, but you don't have a need to know, so you won't know about this. So reflecting on this, can you comment on other false flag events which might just have happened or can be a reality soon, and also reflect on this disclosure of the ET reality? Is there something exopolitical, so to speak, behind that in false flag event terms? Is that possible, so to speak?
Well, I think when we look at the issue or the examples of false flag operations that have happened, if we look at them in terms of being a way for these elites to be able to do things secretly that promote a hidden agenda, that is something that is clearly linked to the exopolitical question. And so when we look at false flag events, whether it's 9/11, whether it's the war against Iraq, whether it's this kind of more recent issues such as kind of international piracy in the Gulf of Aden. These are all kind of false flag events that are used as a cover for activities that deal more directly with the extraterrestrial phenomenon. And I think the Gulf of Aden is a very interesting example of something that is happening at the moment, with the international community kind of distracted with the cover story that in fact we have an issue of kind of piracy off the coast of Somalia. But in fact, is this a false flag operation? Is there something else happening there? And I think when we look at that kind of possibility, we dig deeper and we find that there is an exopolitical factor.
And do you think, in your view, is there any exopolitical explanation, or even a kind of, well, not a prophecy, but maybe you can look into the future having some more insight about the exopolitical factors relating to secret material, so to speak. I'm thinking, in my mind's eye, I'm seeing Gizeh, and I'm seeing the New Jerusalem kind of political situation in Israel. And I know that for the New World Order, they want to put the capstone on the pyramid, so to speak, on geopolitical terms. And I know it's important for them. And I also feel that it's very important for humanity as a whole, not having any political or power structures related to that. So just on a humanitarian level, can you comment on any exopolitical factors contributing to or relating to, or maybe even in the future relating to Gizeh and Israel?
I'm not quite sure of the word you used before Israel, Gizeh.
I mean the big pyramids in Egypt, the big pyramids.
Yes, okay. Well, not directly. I think one of the things that I'm very interested in at the moment is the spiral that happened over Norway on December 9, one day before President Obama's Nobel Peace Prize speech, where he was going to emphasize nuclear disarmament. One of the things that is very interesting is that on that same day of December 9, you had a giant pyramid, a 1 mile wide pyramid appearing over the Kremlin. And while that doesn't directly relate to the Giza pyramid, what I think it's symbolizing is that the power behind that pyramid, and I think it was definitely an extraterrestrial civilization, was basically communicating, signaling to Russia directly and to the United States that the old way of doing things through military force to promote their policies was no longer going to be allowed. I think that what happened in Norway with that spiral, while I'm not able to prove this at the moment, I think according to my research and the sources I've consulted with, was in fact that the Russian rocket, that some people say, well, the Russian rocket caused the Norway spiral. There was a test rocket, and they say, well, it was caused by the Russian rocket. I think what actually happened was that the spiral appeared and that the rocket was fired at the spiral to prevent things coming through the spiral, that the spiral was in fact an interdimensional doorway, a portal. And what came through the portal was this pyramid on the eve of Obama's Peace Prize speech. And I think probably the plan was that maybe that pyramid would appear at the same time as Obama was doing his Nobel Peace Prize speech, so that the whole world would see, oh, well, here's this giant pyramid, as President Obama is talking about kind of world peace, or at least a world without nuclear weapons. But instead the Russians fired at it, and what the pyramid did instead was it flew over or went to the Kremlin and just sat over the Kremlin for several hours on December 9, showing that the power of the Kremlin, of the Russian Federation in terms of missiles, nuclear technology and so forth, was no match for this level of extraterrestrial intelligence. So that is a sign that I think that in the future we are going to have more open displays of power by certain extraterrestrials who hopefully are more benevolent and more in tune with humanity's higher aspirations.
Well, I hope so as well, and I think the whole mankind hopes that this is certainly the true situation. We only have 1 minute left, but I feel I still have to connect with you on one thing, which, well, the other one was an intuitive question, but I wasn't that far off regarding your answer. So does this relate to anything, and can you comment on that, anything relating to stargates, so to speak? So to speak, the multidimensional, maybe real stargates, or maybe even the technological ones, or maybe even, if that's a possibility, and I guess so, the false flag ones created by holographic technologies. Anything you want to comment on the concept of stargates?
I think the Stargate phenomenon is a very important one, and it's becoming something that we are needing to pay more attention to. I think that the Norway spiral was some kind of dimensional portal that opened. I think what's happening in the Gulf of Aden is also probably a stargate of some form, and that as we as a planet move higher into